order the Riviera Beach. I'd like to call to order the regular City Council meeting, January 4th, 2023, 6:03 p.m. Madam, roll call.
Madam Chair, before I conduct the roll call, we did receive advance notice that Mayor Ronnie Felder would not be present tonight, as well as Councilman Troderick McCoy.
Okay.
Chairperson Kashambra Miller Anderson.
Present.
Chair Pro Tem Shirley Lanier.
Here.
Councilperson Julia Botel.
Here.
Councilperson Doug Lawson. Deirdre Jacobs in for City Manager Jonathan Evans.
Here.
Tawana Smith is present in the absence of Claudine Anthony. Don Wynn, City Attorney.
Here.
You have a quorum, Madam Chair.
All right, we'll have a moment of silence followed by the Pledge of Allegiance led by Judge Botel.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do we have any additions, deletions, or substitutions?
No, Madam Chair, we don't.
Disclosures by council?
No.
Motion to adopt the agenda?
Motion, Madam.
Go ahead.
There was one change that we wanted to add for, let me see what item is that. Sorry. This is the one, item 11E. On this resolution, on the resolution itself and in the backup, there's $90,000 that will be provided. The $75,000 was the amount that was first requested through the banks, but they ended up providing the city with an additional monies up to $90,000 for this program. So this $75,000, when it went to print, they didn't know the status of it and thought it was 75, and then it ended up being 90 that the banks are providing to the city.
Okay, so Ms. McBride, are you presenting this item? Okay, so we're just changing it from 75,000 to 90,000? Any other additions, deletions, substitutions? No. Disclosures by council. We have a motion to adopt the agenda?
Motion to adopt the agenda.
So moved.
Chairperson Miller Anderson.
Yes.
Chair Pro Tem Lanier.
Yes.
Chairperson Julia Botel.
Yes.
Councilwoman Julia Botel.
Yes.
Councilperson Douglas Lawson.
Yes.
That vote passes, Madam Chair.
All matters listed under this item are considered to be routine, and action will be taken by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a council person so requests, in which event the item will be removed from the general order of business and considered in its normal sequence on the agenda. Do we have anyone that would like to pull an item from the agenda, from the consent agenda?
No.
All right. Do we have any public comment cards?
No, ma'am.
All right. We have a motion to accept the consent agenda.
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Madam Clerk?
Chairperson Miller Anderson.
Yes.
Chair Pro Tem Lanier.
Yes.
Councilperson Botel.
Yes.
Councilperson Lawson.
Yes.
That vote passes, Madam Chair.
Item number 6, awards and presentation.
Item number 6A, we have Mr. Edwin Ferguson, School District of Palm Beach County, District 7. This item is being presented by Ms. Deirdre Jacobs, Assistant City Manager.
All right. Ms. Jacobs?
Sure. Good evening. For the record, my name is Deirdre Jacobs. Mr. Ferguson, the school district member from District 7, has requested to make a presentation to the board on matters concerning both the city and the school district.
All right. Mr. Ferguson?
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
For those who don't know, I'm Edwin Ferguson, your recently appointed school board member, and I'm going to give a brief presentation of my visitation to the schools here at Riviera Beach, some things that the principals advised me they could use some additional assistance from us as a board and you as the city and the citizens as well, and just some other things that I think are very much germane to the city of Riviera Beach. So I promise I won't be too long. I'll try to get this done in 10 minutes, possibly 15, Madam Chair. And again, thank you for allowing me to speak to you. Again, Madam City Manager, tonight, City Attorney, and all the other delegates in your respective places and the citizens of Riviera Beach. Before I dive into this, I also want to thank the city. Again, obviously I won, and I want to thank all of those persons who voted for me to be your next school board member. I don't take this job lightly. I've jumped in head first, and I really have enjoyed my month plus on the dais advocating for the schools in District 7. I feel like Riviera Beach is the anchor for District 7, obviously because I was raised here for, at least from an educational standpoint, for a good part of my time, and I feel as if we have not done a good enough job down at the district advocating for all things Riviera Beach, and I hope to change that dynamic here in the next 4 years. Tonight, I'm going to talk to you all about a couple of topics. So first of all, as I mentioned, I visited all 7 schools here in Riviera Beach, so I'm going to give a small report, brief report on what the principals, their respective asks are, if you will. I'm also going to let you know about what I plan to do over this first year through the end of this current school year and moving forward. And I have a few asks, respectful asks of the city as well, and I'm hoping that we can partner in regard to getting those goals met here in a timely fashion too. Now, in regard to the schools here in Riviera Beach, for those who are watching who don't know, we have 7 schools. We have Suncoast High School, JFK Middle School, Washington Elementary, West Riviera Elementary, Inlet Grove High School, Lincoln Elementary, and Riviera Beach Prep. I met with all 7 of those principals within 3 days of winning this election, and these are the things that were made known to me by the respective principals. Ms. Kerner, the principal at Suncoast, actually said things are well with her at Suncoast, and they don't really have need for some of the things that the other schools here in the city have need for, which are specifically consistent mentors coming on campus to help improve the educational experience of the respective students there, and also financial assistance to help them with field trips, purchasing other academic-related material, etc. Mr. Clark at John F. Kennedy, I was very much impressed by Mr. Clark. We know that our JFK Middle School has a reputation, I think not necessarily well earned at this point, and I think that Mr. Clark has been doing an extraordinary job in his short time there, raising the level of the performance of the children. It seems to be bared out in the data. But there were 2 things, aside from what I mentioned earlier, that he asked for. He's in need of a professional chef to help run a culinary class that he'd like to do at JFK. I've put him in contact with a local chef, Miss Trendy, Trinette Morris, and I need to follow up with her and him to find out if they've been able to establish the partnership so that she can begin teaching that culinary class at his school. He also mentioned that he wants to establish a community garden at his school for his children to utilize, and he said that they're in need of approximately $500 to get that off the ground, and that will be one of my asks later today. So I'll put a pin in that for now. Also, I spoke with Dr. Murray, who is the principal at Washington. She is a powerhouse. She is high energy, to be sure. She has an amazing vision, in my opinion, for that elementary school. In her words, she'd like to see the school become a school of the arts, but not necessarily as a choice program. She wants to make sure that none of the students here in Riviera Beach are, if you will, squeezed out because of the high performance of the school, and I respect her in that regard. Dr. McKnight is the principal at West Riviera, which I'm sure the city knows. That school is scheduled to go under renovation next school year. Those students will be at Lincoln. She also has some good things in mind for the children this year. She wants to send all the children who get a 4 or higher on this year's upcoming FSA exams to the Rapids. She wants to pay for a trip to the Rapids. And so I think that's a great little carrot, if you will, for the students there. Mr. Sims and Dr. Banks are at Inlet Grove. Mr. Sims is the principal. Dr. Banks is I believe her official title is CEO. They stated the students are doing well and that she's just looking forward to having the school rebuilt and renovated. And we actually just passed, authorized the superintendent to contract with an architect to produce renderings that will then result in renovations being finally made to the site that was formerly known as Suncoast High School over on Avenue H West. Ms. Porter, who's the long-standing principal at Lincoln, again, another high-energy person. I've known her since I returned back from college, at law school, actually. She's a great person. They also are looking for business partners, mentorship-wise and for financial contributions. But all in all, she said things are going reasonably well at Lincoln. And last but most definitely not least, Mr. Simmons, he is the principal at Riviera Beach Prep, which was formerly known as North Tech, which I guess now is soon to be known again as North Tech, as we're doing some adult vocational services up there at that school. I have to be honest, I have to really take my hat off. If I had a hat on my head, I would take my hat off to Mr. Simmons. He's doing an absolutely amazing job at that school. What I thought Riviera Beach Prep was, from misinformation, if you will, it is not anywhere close to that. Those students there are doing an amazing job. I would encourage any citizens who have time to go to the school, speak to Mr. Simmons and his staff. I think you will be proud and you'll be very much surprised about the good work they're doing at that school. When I spoke with him in November, he did state that he was in need of a contractor and or a carpenter to help mentor students in that field, and I believe he has a program there that can't quite get off the ground because he doesn't have the subject matter expert, i.e. a contractor or a carpenter. So when we spoke in late November, or mid-November, I'm sorry, that's something that he said he was in need of. Moving to what I plan to do through the remainder of this year, obviously, you know, I'm just a month or so in, so there's a lot of information coming at me, but I think things are going well in that regard. But one thing that I have done that I think is of note is that I've visited all the schools in District 7 in less than 3 weeks. I took time to speak with every single principal, find out what his or her respective needs were at that school. To a person in District 7, aside from Suncoast and maybe the schools of performing arts, every single school is in need of funds and mentorship. It seems to be a common theme. So one of the many things I think I'm good at is raising money. So I've already reached out to some of the business community persons and other persons who say they're so inclined to support the respective schools, and I'm essentially partnering them with the schools. So my goal for Riviera Beach is those business partners and, again, persons who are so inclined to contribute $250, $500, $1,000, $5,000, whatever the number is, I want to connect them with the respective principals, because I've noticed that being a principal is very difficult. It's difficult just to kind of move along the academic piece, but to then reach out into the community and ask for donations, it seems that some of the principals are having a tough time with that. So I think that's something that I can do. It's not my job to be the principal, and I was very clear with all the principals. You will never have to worry about me calling you saying, hey, Ms. Miller Anderson, I need you to get Doug Lawson into the school. That's not really my space. I'm here to help with policies and procedures as far as that goes. And fundraising is something that I can do that the superintendent has said, hey, I'm more than happy for you to do that and to your heart's content. So I will be doing that. Also in regards to the mentorship piece, connecting persons with positive-minded people. And it's not just being positive-minded. We need persons who are going to be consistent, because almost every single principal has told me, hey, we'll have an attorney Ferguson who will come in one day, but then next month or next year or the year after, we never see him again, and that does have a negative effect on the overall experience of the children. So we want to have persons that are committed to this thing, which is mentorship, and I think we have a good group of persons that I'm associated with who have already expressed interest in doing that, and I'm confident that they will, in fact, do that moving forward. Turning to my ask of the city, I met with Mr. Anthony Lockhart. He is the principal at Boynton High School, Boynton City High School, or Boynton Community High School, excuse me. And he mentioned to me that Mayor Perserga, who was a teacher at Suncoast, interestingly enough, approached him not long ago about the possibility of him receiving ESSER funds. I'm sure you all know what ESSER is, but essentially because of COVID, the federal government started dispersing monies throughout the country to help the respective municipalities get back on their feet from the pandemic. And so Boynton Community High School is about to receive $100,000 from the city of Boynton by way of an ESSER fund grant. And so I was hoping Mr. Evans was here tonight But I'm pretty sure that we, Riviera Beach, have received ESSER funds. So if any of those monies are still not allocated or unallocated, I would strongly encourage us to reach out to the principals, because again, they seem pretty much focused on the day-to-day, making sure the kids are properly groomed, fed, moving along, matriculating, et cetera, et cetera. But I think that's something that we as a city, you as elected officials in the city manager's office can do, and I think that'll pay huge gains to our students here in the immediate future. So if there are any ESSER funds that are still available, I implore you to let's try to disperse those to those respective schools. Also, we know that reading and reading comprehension is a huge issue, particularly here in Riviera Beach when you look at the historical kindergarten readiness numbers. And you know that those who start behind tend to stay behind, those who start ahead tend to stay ahead, and there's definitely a correlation between reading comprehension and one's ability to stay ahead. We have the best, I think, local network, Channel 18 in the county. I've seen a few of the other cities' local networks, and they can't touch you all. Your staff is great here. It's just a great channel, and many in the city look to it for information. So when I was out canvassing back in the summer, it occurred to me, you know, if I win this race, I'm definitely going to come back to the city of Riviera Beach and implore you to set aside time each day, Monday through Friday at minimum, around bedtime or the evening hours, maybe 7 to 8, or nights where we're not having, obviously, live city council meetings. And maybe have an elected official or some person of note in the city or from around the county to read for 10 to 15 minutes, and maybe have subtitles beneath that. Because what I've noticed is that some parents aren't necessarily as strong and proficient in reading as they would like to be. So while on the outside you might think, oh, this parent just doesn't care about his or her child's ability to read and education at large, it's just some of them are limited as well. And so I think this is something that we could do, which hopefully would not be much sweat off of our back, that could result in gains to the reading comprehension levels of, again, not just the students, but their parents, because they count too. And we want to make sure that this city is the best city in which to live, work, and play. And I think if we have a more educated community, that mantra can actually be true. And so I know that's something that we can do. And again, I'm asking respectfully that we look into getting that off of the ground. Another issue that we have, and I don't know if you all have heard about it, but I've been kicking this drum since the first day on the district grounds. So we had the hurricane. They had things kind of closed that Thursday after the election. On Friday, they called me down to get me onboarded. The first thing the superintendent, Mike Burke, asked me is, what are your asks? And I said, well, my first ask, good sir, funny that you say that, is that we need to build a new high school in Riviera Beach. He almost fell out of his chair. But this is the big thing. This is a promise that many of the people who are watching this watching this meeting tonight are well aware of, that there was a time not very long ago, less than 20 years ago, where it was placed on the county's, the district's construction calendar, if you will, to build a new Riviera Beach High School. And then for reasons that I guess aren't really necessary for me to get into at this point, what's done is done. It didn't happen. What you should know is this. When the school, MMM, was initially taken off of the calendar, it was supposedly because of inflation and a lack of funds. This happened in 2011. However, I took the liberty to do some public record requests to find out if we had built anything since 2011, and we not only built 1, 2, 3, 4 schools, we actually built 23 schools in Palm Beach County during this same window of time when supposedly we did not have the money to build this Riviera Beach High School. So the optics of that clearly offend me, and I've not I've not minced words with the superintendent or any of my fellow colleagues about the fact that that does not seem equitable. And we had a big meeting 2-3 meetings ago about rewording the equity statement. And I said to them, hey, words are great, but actions mean infinitely more to me. And so this is something that's a call to me. And I'm asking for you as the elected officials, the city manager's office, and all other concerned citizens to speak up. And I'm asking to speak up because even after I mentioned the fact that roughly 88% of the high school age students in Riviera Beach attend school outside of Riviera Beach, when most cities of our size or larger have 75% to 95% of their high school age students attending school in their respective cities, Even Delray and Boynton have no less than 50% of their students matriculating in their city. 3 of the board members said, how do we know, the actual words were, how do we know that they will come if we build it in Riviera Beach? And one of the board members even said, well, I think we need to follow up with the residents to gauge their interest in a Riviera Beach high school, which I immediately, I think I sounded like Deborah Robinson in that moment. I said, I'm concerned that there might be a little implicit bias here, with all due respect. I want to bring this to your attention. If it's good enough for Wellington, it's good enough for Riviera Beach. If it's good enough for West Palm Beach, it's good enough for Riviera Beach. But be that as it may, maybe I caught them off guard, but this is where you all come in. What I'm asking from the citizens and from the elected officials to do is I need you all to start sending in emails, and there are 2 email addresses that you can use. The first one is board office, BOARD, OFFICE, at palmbeachschools.org. That email address goes to the superintendent, myself, and the other school board members. And you can simply say, particularly if you're a parent who has a school-age kid or a child care-age kid, say, hey, my name is John. My son or my daughter attends Lincoln Elementary. I would really love if we had a Riviera Beach High School for them to go to for any number of reasons, because it's closer to my home. I think Commissioner Lawson, Councilman Lawson, when he came to the December 14th meeting, he said, home should be home, something to that effect, and I definitely agree with that. For far too long, our children have been bused, normally 30 minutes to an hour to school and back each day. They leave at night and come back at night, and that's just offensive to me when we talk about making things fair. So again, by you all making that record, what was said to me on December 14th can't be said in good conscience ever again. How do we know that the citizens want to have the school? The second email address is my personal email address at the school board, which is Edwin, EDWIN, .FERGUSON at palmbeachschools.org. And if I receive it from you, of course, I'll forward it to the superintendent and also to this same board office at palmbeachschools.org address as well. And to that point, if the citizens or you as commissioners have any concerns with anything public school related, please don't hesitate to reach out to speak to me. I'm your advocate. I'm your representative. Without the support of this city, I would not be in this position. So we definitely are tied at the hip as far as I see it. And then last but not least, my office phone number is 561-434-7481. 561-434-7481. I really would appreciate it if we can start getting a delegation of 5 to 15 persons from Riviera Beach coming to board meetings to express the same sentiment that you very well are expressing in your email, that, hey, I'm from Riviera Beach. I have skin in the game. I have children in the schools, or I had children in the schools, or I will have children in the schools, and we need to have a comprehensive high school in Riviera Beach. Enough is enough. Because I quickly realized on December 14th, if it's only what Edwin is saying, that can be minimized. But if it's an entire community coming forward, then that's a much different mountain to try to ignore. So I'm asking you all to please help in that effort. We're very close. You can look at the school board meeting, as a matter of fact, from December 14th, Palm Beach County School Board meeting, I think it's 12-14-22. Look at it from an hour and 55 minutes in until about the end at 2 hours and 35 minutes. I was running pretty good advocating for the city because I said in this brief time, and I'm wrapping up, Ms. Chair, that I don't believe we've ever had conversations about Riviera Beach in a positive light. It's always in a negative sense, whether it be JFK, and I'm not picking at JFK, but I'm just saying whether it be JFK or any of the elementary schools, it always seems like it's something that's not quite right with Riviera Beach. And I think that negativity has kind of inured to our students to the detriment of the city, and I think it's time for us to pivot and pivot fast. And so again, I'm asking for the city's support in this regard. What you should also know, as I close, is that even though there had not been any discussions, and many of the board members said they had no understanding or didn't even realize that the numbers were so out of whack, that only 12% of our students in Riviera Beach actually attend school in Riviera Beach. But by the time I was done with my monologue, we came to an agreement that we're going to workshop on February 1st this business of where we're going to put a Riviera Beach High School, that's public. So anyone from Riviera Beach or anyone in Palm Beach County can come to it. Again, make sure that your voices are heard as far as this goes. But I think this is something that should have been done. A promise was made over 20 years ago, and with your help, we can make sure that promise is kept in a very short time. And Madam Chair, as I said, this is something that I expect to do not just in this city, but in all the cities of District 7, no less than twice a year. And again, I'm asking you that if you have any issues related to education, please let me know so that we can come back and dialogue, and then I can bring it to the collective body down at the school district. But again, I thank you for this time, and I look forward to working with you all here over the next 4 years. Thank you.
Madam Chair.
Well, again, congratulations, and want to thank you for coming out and taking the time out to, and first of all, going and visiting those schools and seeing firsthand what's going on in them and knowing that there's a way for the city to be able to help out. Ms. Nydia, the funds that we have, haven't we committed them all to something? You weren't? Ms.
So,
Jacobs,
Sure.
Ms. Jacobs, can you hold on 1 minute, Ms. Botel?
Sure.
Deidre?
Sure. Those funds are our ARPA funds.
Right.
That came to us as a result of the coronavirus pandemic. And all of those monies, I believe it was a total of a little over $17 million, have been obligated for the water treatment plant.
Okay.
Yeah, so for that part, that's taken care of, but that's not to say that, we can't do something,
Okay.
some other sort. And then we do have, I think we have a resolution that's been in place for a while where we talked about this some years ago with the employees being able to give I think an hour a week to be able to go and volunteer in the schools. So that has always been, that's been in place for a while. And that was something I think Mr. Evans was doing, allowing, I can't remember if it was the first time he came or when he came the second time, but that was something that we were working with Dr. Robinson in order for the employees to be able to come. So that is still in place.
Okay.
Dr. Botel?
Thank you. Thank you so much for being here. It's so refreshing. It's wonderful to hear somebody who's so invested in the district and our kids. And thank you for visiting the schools. That means an awful lot to, I'm sure, the principals as well as the teachers. I wonder if you could add a couple of schools to your list. They're not in Riviera Beach, but those are the high schools that our kids go to. Dwyer, for example, I believe, and Adam, our librarian, is here. He can remind me if we're still doing this. We did make arrangements for the Dwyer kids to be bused to our library for after-school services in the Riviera Beach Public Library. I'm not sure if we're still doing that, yes or no. I don't know. Adam, you might want to chat with him on the way out. But we want to do more things like that to help our kids who are traveling out of the city to go to high school. I completely support the notion of having a Riviera Beach High School for a variety of reasons, not just the distance, but things like team spirit and a sense of belonging. It's just so important. Also wanted to be sure you knew that we have an entity called the Friends of the Riviera Beach Schools, which is a 501c3. We work primarily with the elementary schools. For example, this past holiday we had an essay contest for the kids, and they had to write about what they wanted for Christmas, and the charity got them the winners everything they wanted, and they were delivered on Christmas Eve. We're also sending all of the fifth graders from Lincoln to the South Florida Science Center, probably in February. So if you want to contact information for the Friends of the Riviera Beach Schools, I'd be happy to give that to you. It's a great group, and they try to do a lot of fundraising along the lines of what you're trying to do.
Okay.
Thanks again.
Yeah, please forward that to me. I'll be happy to reach out to them.
I will.
In follow-up to Madam Chairman, address that. Yeah, my plan is to visit all the schools inside the Palm Beach County School District by the end of next year. I realistically can't get that done this year, but I expect to have visited all the schools. My point being, how can I know if we're truly being treated fairly if I haven't seen and visited all the other respective neighborhoods? So I will definitely be to Dwyer and Gardens probably within the next 30 days. But yeah, I'll be at all schools before hopefully the end of next school year.
A quick follow-up, Madam Chair.
Go ahead.
Just so you know, we did those essays, maybe we started them maybe four or 5 years ago. And the fifth graders would write literally 1 or 2 sentences, and that was it. The essays we got this year were 2 and 3 pages, and they were so well written. I got so excited when I read them. I mean, they had structure, and the kids would say things like, read on if you'd like to learn more. Or, I mean, somebody's teaching them to write really good essays, and I just wanted to pass that on to you and to the watching public so that they know that
Yes.
our teachers are really working hard for our kids.
They
It's
most
making a
definitely are.
difference, yeah.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
on my notes here, I don't have what you stated for Washington Elementary, what they needed. And then also for the meeting, I have February 1st, but I don't have any meeting details.
So I don't have my district phone. There's a workshop on February 1st. I'll be sure to forward that information back to the city. As far as Washington, well, I mentioned all of the schools aside from Suncoast are respectfully requesting additional monies to help them purchase academic materials, maybe schedule field trips, et cetera, also in mentors. Dr. Murray just shared with me that she has a vision of Washington Elementary soon being a school of the arts, but not necessarily one via choice. She wants to make sure that it's for Riviera, by Riviera, what have you. And that was my report in regard to that school.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Questions, comments?
Madam Chair,
Go ahead.
and again, I just want to echo the sentiments of my colleague. Congratulations, Attorney Ferguson.
Thank you.
We're excited because within your first few months of being elected, you're here speaking to the board about the concerns of the community, and I agree with you. One of my colleagues mentioned going to speak to Dwyer and Palm Beach Lakes and Gardens where our kids actually attend school, but that is the epitome of why we need to advocate for a home high school, because having to go outside of our city, because our kids truly need to have their home school at home is what was said at that meeting. So I'm here to advocate and support with you anything that's needed. I will be at the workshop to participate and just listen in because I don't believe there's community comments during our workshops, but at the same time I want to make sure that we get the message out to the residents. So we'll make sure to get that email out and that direction to advocate for a home high school here in our city.
Thank you. And
Thank you, Attorney Ferguson.
Madam Chair, who should I follow up and send that information to via email?
You can send it to Ms. Jacobs.
Okay, I'll do that. Okay.
Any other, Ms. Lanier?
I just wanted to briefly ask, congratulations as well. I just
Thank you.
wanted to ask about, I understand about the new high school, but I'm concerned about how is it? There was supposed to be work done for Inlet Grove as well. So I wanted to make sure that, we're not neglecting Inlet Grove for another high school. And of course I agree with that, but I want to make sure that that school gets what it's supposed to get as well. What is the latest on,
Yes.
yeah,
So that was what was the springboard for me kind of going on my monologue on December 14th, because obviously I support Inlet Grove. I mean, I'm for the children, so you can't neglect the campus, but I feel as if as the district we have not taken a broad approach to our construction plan. So we'll build a school here without thinking how that might affect the ability to build a school somewhere else. We don't have that many viable lots here in Riviera Beach. But to answer your question directly, Commissioner, the board approved 6-1. I was the only dissenting vote for the reasons that I stated on the video. 6-1 to authorize Superintendent Mike Burke to contract with the architect. So there's a $1.5 million contract that's been activated, been signed, executed. Once those drawings are done, I believe that'll be toward the end of this year, no later than early next year. They will then go into the renovations phase. At that point, the elementary, the Inlet Grove High School will be renovated. It will look new. It'll be new lighting, exterior and interior painting. Asphalt will be redone. I believe the gym is going to be redone as well. I did not see in the backup where there was any mention of renovating the football field and the track, nor the auditorium, but a fair amount of the campus will be renovated and will no longer be the eyesore, frankly, that it has been for quite some time now.
okay, thank you for that, because I just was concerned about that school as well. And also, too, we do have a program through our district office, my district office, over in Azure Estates, which is an after-school program in conjunction with Urban Youth Impact, which is a
Yes.
reading program that we dedicated. The Classroom Teachers Association received about 10,000 books, and we've been putting them in different community centers across Riviera Beach, and Azure Estates was one of the first ones that we have in conjunction with Lincoln and with the Urban Impact Program. So we are doing what we can to make sure that the children at least be provided with reading materials as well as being read to. But thank you so much for that, though.
And I would love to meet with you and the group at you said Urban Youth Impact in Riviera Beach at a time of your convenience. Just let me know, and I'd love to stop by and just kind of listen in and learn more about what you all are doing so I can report it back to my colleagues at the district to make sure that we're really optimizing all of our efforts.
Of course.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Madam
just have-
Chair,
Yes.
please. Mr. Ferguson, I had a couple of questions. Could you spell the name of the funds that you mentioned that went to Mr. Lockhart at Boynton?
Oh, the ESSER funds.
How
It's
do
an acronym, ESSER, unless I'm saying it incorrectly. I believe it's ESSER.
Yeah,
But
the schools the schools, that's the funds that the schools got. We got ARPA, they got ESSER. It's pretty much the same, but it was different for the schools when it rolled down to the schools.
And they got this as a grant from the city of Boynton. So again, I'm just speaking off my head. I'm just saying, I don't know if you had something comparable, but if you did and it was not already allocated, that was the
Yeah, it was
purpose
the
for
ARPA
mentioning it.
funds. The ARPA funds are what we had, but the
Yeah.
schools had the
Okay.
ESSER funds.
So maybe they gave Boynton Beach a portion of the dollars that they received through ARPA.
They did.
Yeah.
It sounds like it. The mayor, and he was going out engaging with the other schools in the city. And I heard several of the schools in Boynton mention, hey, we're receiving $100,000 from the city of Boynton. I'm like, oh, that's pretty awesome. So, but that's a one-time grant.
And then with regards to the reading program, Dr. Botel and Mrs. Lanier mentioned Jeff Sherrills with the CTA. I believe the city houses probably a few thousand books on his behalf, and they're distributing them through different community sources to different schools and persons that are interested in reading materials for
Okay.
persons. And I know that our librarian, Mr. Brody, he has extensive reading programs as well. You may want to connect with him, or city administration can help you out with that as well.
Is he in the chambers tonight?
Yes.
Yes, he is.
Which gentleman is that? Okay. I'll be sure to speak with him. Thank you.
All right, any other questions or comments from the board? No comment cards, right, Ms.
No.
All right. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Board Member Ferguson, for coming out, and again, congratulations on your new position.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Everybody have a great night.
Thank you. All right, Madam Clerk.
Madam Chair, we're on to item 9A, ordinance number 4210, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Riviera Beach, Palm Beach County, Florida, amending City Code of Ordinance, Chapter 31, zoning Article 1 in general, Section 31-1, definitions in order to add definitions for affected area, affordable, attainable workforce, and market rate housing, auto broker, contractor storage yard, health club, private school, screen enclosure, screen room, slope, townhouse, and veterinarians, and revise the definition for home occupations and private passenger vehicle, providing for purpose, conflict, severability, and codification, and providing for an effective date.
Have a motion?
Do we have public comment?
Do we have a motion?
A motion to approve ordinance number 4210.
Second.
All right.
Madam Chair, we do not have any public comment cards on this item, and this item is presented by Mr. Clarence Sermons, Director of Development Services.
Thank you. All right, Ms. Jacobs.
Sure, Mr. Sermons will be presenting ordinance number 4210.
Thank you. Mr. Sermon.
Thank you. Good evening, Madam Chair,
Good evening.
members of City Council, and Madam Attorney. Again, for the record, I am Clarence Sermons, Director of Development Services for the City of Riviera Beach. The first three of the four items I will be presenting this evening are related to staff-initiated amendments, text amendments to the Land Development Code. These amendments are the result of staff working with the public in processing development application and us becoming aware of changes that would improve the efficiency and the accuracy of us to be able to do our job and implement the code in today's environment. This particular ordinance amends the section of the Land Development Code that contains our definitions. Our intent is to add several definitions that are missing that would allow us to better do our job from the staff perspective, and include other definitions that are current vernacular in the development community that it would be a more seamless process if they were codified in our code, as well as update some other definitions that are a little outdated. And having reviewed the materials before you, I am available for any questions that you may have on this item.
All right, any questions or comments from the board?
Madam Chair,
Go ahead.
I just wanted to make sure this was the same item that we spoke about in regards to the warehousing in our district, that we were looking at using, having different uses for warehouses instead of it being just warehouses that are just all over our city. Could you talk about that a little bit, because I think we've had numerous conversations about that.
The next item on the agenda does deal with the warehouses in those industrial districts. This one does include some definitions that we are proposing for the warehouse districts, but this item in itself amends the definition section and includes some definitions for that zone.
All right, any other questions or comments?
No?
All right, Madam Clerk.
Chairperson Miller Anderson,
Yes.
Chair Pro Tem Lanier,
Yes.
Councilperson Botel,
Yes.
Councilperson Lawson.
Yes.
That vote passes, Madam Chair.
All right, thank you. Item 9B.
Yes. Ordinance number 4209, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Riviera Beach, Palm Beach County, Florida, amending City Code of Ordinance, Chapter 31, zoning Article 5, District Regulations, Division 17, IL Limited Industrial District, Section 31-362, use regulations in order to change contracted storage yard to a special exception use at private schools, health clubs, indoor rock climbing walls, and similar uses, veterinarian office or animal medical clinic, auto broker, truck parking with associated warehouse building, truck or bus parking as the primary use, indoor or outdoor amusement, recreational uses, and grocery store as special exception uses, providing for purpose, conflict, severability, and codification, and providing for an effective date.
Motion to approve ordinance number 4209. Were you done?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion to approve 4209.
Second.
So I think what's going on, Ms. Tawana, after you read the resolution, close it out for the public comments, and then we'll do the motion.
Yeah.
All right. Ms. Jacobs.
But we don't have any public comment cards for this item, and acceptance of public comments is now closed.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Jacobs.
Madam Chair, Mr. Sermons will also be presenting this item as well as the following two.
All right. Mr. Sermons.
Thank you again. This item relates to the industrial limited zoning district. So we have two industrial districts. This one is the less intensive zone that allows certain types of uses that relate to manufacturing and construction-related activities and other businesses. We have brought forth amendments to both of our industrial districts as a result of feedback from our community on the lack of desirable uses that our city needs, as well as our experience in processing applications from the public for proposed uses in these districts that we are required to deny because the district doesn't allow them. So what we've done today is taken a conservative approach to adding additional uses to these zoning districts that would give staff and city council the ability to approve and consider certain uses within our industrial zoning districts. Some of the uses that we are proposing, we believe could easily be in harmony with industrial areas where there are a lot of warehouses and uses that could be allowed and generate heavy types of vehicle within the traffic generation. And we've taken this conservative approach by adding these additional uses under special exceptions, which allows city council a higher amount of discretion as to whether a particular use is appropriate in a particular location. Of the uses that we have proposed and had extensive dialogue with the Planning and Zoning Board on, there were some suggestions that some of them could be appropriate as by right uses, but again, staff took the a more conservative approach to start this this ordinance moving forward. But if there's a desire for any of these to be moved to by right as opposed to special exception, staff can make that change between first and second reading. And that does conclude the staff description and presentation on this item.
All right, any questions or comments from the board?
Madam Chair.
Go ahead.
Thank you. Mr. Sermons, thank you for updating this and making this amendment. When we, a few years back, voted to move forward with the warehouse space, residents were concerned with the constantly just having warehouses in our industrial area and being more creative, and this actually gives us the option to be more creative. For example, the extreme parks that I've seen throughout the city, throughout the state, Frank Cinnabon, movie theater, bowling alley, social engagement. I remember I advocated for 13th Street in Barak to be a possible movie theater, bowling alley, indoor recreational park, but I believe this board moved forward with the warehouse, which is still sitting vacant. This amendment now gives us the opportunity, but I believe Ms. Jacobs, how can we advocate or petition or even market that we are having these opportunities in our city, that they can bring these type of social engagements to Riviera Beach, whether it's an extreme park, whether it's a movie theater, that can actually go into our industrial areas now that we're moving forward with this, or possibly moving forward with this ordinance change?
So, Mr. Lawson, I'd like to use this as an opportunity where Mr. Sermons would be able to apprise the public and the council of an opportunity that may be about to take place here in our city with regards to entertainment activities in an industrial area that's just north of us.
Yes. So one advantage the city of Riviera Beach does have over many municipalities in the area is that we do have more industrial land per capita than a lot of places. So when certain businesses are looking for somewhere to locate, we have a certain level of attractiveness in the amount of available land in these zoning districts. Granted that we update them to accommodate these uses such as indoor or outdoor amusement parks, we have an advantage there, but we do believe, I do believe that targeted marketing could assist the city in attracting the types of businesses that we want to see in these areas and other things such as restaurants and grocery stores. But we do have an entity that has contacted my department because they're interested in developing an existing warehouse with an indoor go-kart track, which is a type of use in terms of recreation and family entertainment that the community has expressed we desire to see here, but they are patiently waiting and hoping that this moves forward so that we can allow businesses such as that one to move forward. And from what they've communicated, they're ready to go. They're just hoping that this moves forward, and they've signed a lease for the building. So the interest is there. The properties are here in Riviera Beach. Although some would argue there are too many warehouses, it's what go in those warehouses that really can still increase the quality of life of residents. So staff does believe that this gets us going in that correct direction. So that is one opportunity that is already on our front step.
Follow up, Madam Chair.
Go ahead.
So thank you again. Addressing the food deserts and providing social engagement for the residents is how we're going to really build the essence of Riviera Beach, because we can talk about development, we can talk about housing, we can talk about jobs, but if there's nothing for the residents to do, all of the resources that we have and not being able to spend money in the city they're in and actually have social engagement in the city. So this is a great first step. So thank you again for that. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Any other questions or comments? All right, Madam Clerk.
Chairperson Miller Anderson,
Yes.
Chair Pro Tem Lanier,
Yes.
Councilperson Botel,
Yes.
Councilperson Lawson.
Yes.
That vote passes, Madam Chair.
All right, item 9C.
Yes. Ordinance number 4208, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Riviera Beach, Palm Beach County, Florida, amending City Code of Ordinance, Chapter 31, Zoning, Article 5, District Regulations, Division 18, IG, General Industrial District, Section 31-382, Use Regulations in order to clarify the language for permitted outdoor storage uses in private schools, health clubs, indoor rock climbing wall, and similar uses, veterinarian office, or animal medical clinic, contractor storage yard, in conjunction with an industrial office, auto broker, indoor or outdoor amusement recreational uses, grocery store, truck parking with associated warehouse building, and truck or bus parking as the primary use of special exception uses, providing for purpose, conflict, severability, and codifications, and providing for an effective date. Madam Chair, we do not have any public comment cards on this item. The acceptance of public comment cards are now closed.
Motion to approve ordinance number 4208.
Second.
All right, Mr. Sermons?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. This ordinance is related to our general industrial district, which is the highest intensity of industrial uses are allowed in this zoning district. And the updates proposed here are similar to the previous. We are adding additional uses which would be allowed by special exception, hoping that these districts would perform better for the city and the residents. And unless there are additional questions, that would conclude staff's presentation on this item.
All right, questions or comments from the board? All right, Madam Clerk?
Chairperson Miller Anderson,
Yes.
Chair Pro Tem Lanier,
Yes.
Councilperson Botel,
Yes.
Councilperson Lawson.
Yes.
That vote passes, Madam Chair.
All right, item 9D.
9D, ordinance number 4225, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Riviera Beach, Palm Beach County, Florida, amending the city's adopted comprehensive plan to establish the property rights element, to adopt a new property rights element, and amending all elements as necessary in order to provide consistency with current statutory requirements per section 163.3177 Florida statutes, providing for conflict and severability, and providing for an effective date. Madam Chair, we do not have any public comment cards on this item. The acceptance of public comment cards are now closed.
Motion to approve ordinance number 4225.
Second.
All right, Mr. Sermons?
Thank you, Madam Chair. The item before us is related to the city's comprehensive plan. As you all are aware, there are multiple state statutes that govern how, that require cities to adopt a comprehensive plan, but also mandate what the minimum contents of those comp plans are. This particular item is to bring us into compliance with a recently approved statute that requires all municipalities in the state to adopt a property rights element. The language that we are proposing through this amendment brings forth the language as recommended in the state statute with a very few departures from that to bring the city into compliance with this requirement. And once this is approved, if it is approved on first reading, we would transmit, as with any major comprehensive plan amendments, we would transmit this proposed amendment to the state for review. If they approve it without any comments or issues, they would allow us to go forward to bring it back to you for a second reading.
All right, any questions or comments? Madam Clerk?
Chairperson Miller Anderson,
Yes.
Chair Pro Tem Lanier,
Yes.
Councilperson Botel,
Yes.
Councilperson Lawson.
Yes.
That item passes, Madam Chair.
All right, item 11, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I wanted to, before Mr. Sermons, before he leaves from making his presentations, what I wanted to do was just to commend him. All of those items that he mentioned, at least the first 3 of those, they were staff-initiated items. Very rarely do we bring staff-initiated items before you because we are always in the midst of handling those that come outside from our community and development community in particular. So I wanted to take this opportunity to just commend him for taking the time and effort to do some housekeeping issues, which is something we very rarely get to do. And with regards to the entertainment center that we just brought to your attention, that really was supposed to be a surprise. So, Mr. Lawson, you just ruined the surprise for the community.
Surprise.
Yes, I certainly too want to thank Mr. Sermons. He does a wonderful job when he presents his items. They're very thorough, and I can appreciate the fact that I don't have to do a whole lot of searching to be able to figure out what is before me. So I appreciate that, Mr. Sermons.
Thank you so much for your hard work, Mr. Sermons. I know there's a lot to do over there, and we're trying to clean up a lot, but you're doing an awesome job, so thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, you're off the hook. All right, 11A, Ms.
Yes.
McBride?
Resolution number 15-23, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Riviera Beach, Palm Beach County, Florida, authorizing the mayor and city clerk to execute a release of water, sewer, lot clearing, and demolition assessment and/or code enforcement lien encumbering real property owned by the city at 563 West 5th Street, Riviera Beach, and declaring a release of assessment and/or liens on the real property owned by the city to be used for affordable housing, which will serve a public purpose, providing an effective date, and for other purpose. Madam Chair, we do have one public comment card on this item. The acceptance of public comment cards are now closed.
Motion to approve resolution number 15-23.
Second.
All right, Ms. McBride?
Madam Chair,
Good evening.
probably all the items under Section 11 relate to affordable housing or activities connected to creating some type of redevelopment activity within our city. For the particular resolution for 563 West 5th Street, can you hear me?
That's
Yes,
better.
okay.
Yeah, that's better.
The property located at 563 West 5th Street was acquired by Federal Florida Department of Transportation in May 2005. They quitclaimed the property to the city in May 2016. This property is located up near the Brooks Center area in Riviera Beach Heights, and it was identified as possibly to be included in the project that we would have to provide affordable housing on the lots that surround the Brooks Center up there. Going back to your budget meeting in 21, 22 was the first year. We had title work completed on the property by a title firm and an attorney, and as a result of that, this particular property, they did find a lien, so we're just requesting that you would authorize the mayor to execute any release of lien associated with the property. The lien supposedly arose in the city by way of Resolution 101-95. However, I would tell you, after further review and research, the lien was filed or recorded by Ms. Ward in 2011, and this was a code enforcement board lien, and basically statutorily, we really could not pursue it beyond that time period, 20-year period.
All right,
And our records indicate from code enforcement that there is no lien, but we all know if the title to the property says there's a lien, we as an entity must do something to remove it so that we can transfer clear title to another party.
all right. All right, that's the end of your presentation for this item? Ms. McBride?
Yes.
Okay. We'll go to the public comment card.
Ms. Cindy March.
Good evening.
I'm Cindy March. I'm quite sure there's a lot of liens on different properties from property owners. I'm glad to see this is in effect. It's trying to help people with affordable housing. And what happened to you happened for you. And I'm, as a person that looking to be in one of them affordable housing, I don't care if it takes me a year or 2 years, I'm going to do what I need to do. This won't be the first time in trying to be a first-time home buyer. And when you just don't know, you just don't know. So I want this to be the first and last time that my back is against the wall, paying over $1,100. I don't care if you're in the hood. Don't mean you have to live like you're in the hood. And we need to start holding people accountable. So I'm looking forward for some affordable housing in Riviera because this is where I want to live, because this is where I grew up at. And whatever I need to do, like I reiterate, I'm going to do it. I just got a phone call for my first orientation. Sometimes I don't care how old you are, you got to start new with a career. and I'm looking forward to my new career so I can do what I need to do to meet the requirements as a first-time homeowner here in the Riviera Beach, where we love to live, work, and play.
Thank you. Questions or comments from the board? All right, Madam Clerk?
Chairperson Miller Anderson,
Yes.
Chair Pro Tem Lanier,
Yes.
Councilperson Botel,
Yes.
Councilperson Lawson.
Yes.
That vote passes, Madam Chair.
11B?
Yes. Resolution number 17-23, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Riviera Beach, Palm Beach County, Florida, approving and authorizing the mayor and city clerk to execute an agreement for the acquisition through exchange of properties and other related documents for the exchange of certain city-owned vacant properties between the City of Riviera Beach and Our True Homes, LLC, for the purpose of creating a children's playground next to the city's facility known as the Brooks Center, located in Riviera Beach Heights, providing for the payment of the city's closing costs associated with the exchange of the vacant lots, providing for an effective date, and other purposes. Madam Chair, we do not have any public comment cards on this item, and the acceptance of public comment cards are now closed.
Motion to approve resolution number 17-23.
Second.
All right, Ms. McBride?
Yes, Madam Chair, members of the council, I'm sure you recall this matter came before you earlier, and just to put out the disclaimer, we had not completed the due diligence we needed to do on the property, and we replaced and pulled that item that night. For tonight, we have done all the due diligence necessary for the two lots that we're looking to exchange, vacant lots that are owned by the city. They've been reviewed by Development Services, the Utilities Special District, and our city engineer, and they all supported moving forward with these two lots. The lots that we are exchanging our city lots for are for the two lots next to the Brooks Center between 5th and 4th Street in the 500 block. And those are the two lots that we are working to have created a children's STEM playground. The county has been delighted, and they plan to assist us with funding of that particular playground at that location. And the lots of the city that we're exchanging are located at 1192 A.C. Evans Avenue. Apparently, from my research, I could find that the city acquired the lot through an exchange with S Avenue Church in 2008, when they were going through some expansion activities for their church that might have related to a hurricane in 2004 or 5. The other lot, I could not find it in the city records, but I'm going to also keep looking, but I assume it also was from an exchange. And the appraised value of the lots that we're exchanging is equivalent to the appraised value of the lots next to the Brooks Center from the property appraisers records. Those two lots next to the Brooks Center appraised for $55,825. The appraised value of 1192 A.C. Evans was $19,200, and the appraised value for West 28th Street property was $35,700, according to the property appraisers. So they are probably equivalent into that. And we look forward to moving forward with this project as soon as we get the funding from the county.
All right, questions or comments? Madam Clerk?
Chairperson Miller Anderson,
Yes.
Chair Pro Tem Lanier,
Yes.
Councilperson Botel,
Yes.
Councilperson Lawson.
Yes.
That vote passes, Madam Chair.
All right, thank you so much. That's the end of your presentations, right, Ms. McBride?
Yes.
Thank you so much, appreciate it.
Thank you.
11C?
I'm going to leave these here.
Yes. Resolution number 23-23, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Riviera Beach, Palm Beach County, Florida, authorizing the renewal of liability insurance coverage through Arthur J. Gallagher of Florida and authorizing the Director of Finance to make payment from various city department accounts in the estimated amount of $6,261,627 for liability insurance and providing for an effective date. Madam Chair, we do not have any public comment cards on this item, and the acceptance of public comment cards are now closed.
We have a motion?
I'm sorry. Wake up, don't tell. Motion to approve resolution number 23-23.
Second.
All right, Ms. Jacobs?
Sure. Madam Chair, Mr. Shields, the risk manager, will be presenting this particular item.
All right, Mr. Shell.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members
evening.
of council, Madam Attorney. I'm Steve Shields, the risk manager for the city. Before you is the resolution to authorize the renewal of the city's liability of insurance. Of course, I have with me the area vice president for Arthur J. Gallagher. She is going to give you a brief overview, and if you have any questions, please feel free to ask either of us for any information.
Good evening, Madam Chairperson and council members.
Good evening.
As you said, my name is Eileen Nabella, and I represent Arthur J. Gallagher and Company. We are the city's property and casualty insurance brokers. Thank you for the opportunity to discuss this year's insurance renewal. Generally speaking, the city's insurance renewal is a result of three primary factors: the state of the market, the city's exposures, and the city's losses. Unfortunately, we are finding ourselves in an unprecedented state of the insurance market. From storms to cyber threats, from social inflation and multi-million-dollar verdicts to inflationary trends. The bottom line is that the insurance industry financials have not been in a good state. Standards & Poor's reported that the U.S. Q3 combined ratio worsened to 106.6 from 103.7 in Q2. This is the highest level since 2017. That combined ratio is the losses divided by the insurance company's premiums. So they are paying out $1.06 for every insurance dollar that they take in. As you all have probably experienced for yourselves, the property insurance market is one of your largest spends and is one of the most challenged markets. Q3 of 2022 marked the 20th consecutive quarter of rate increases for property. We had finally been seeing some stabilization in this market as the increases had started to decelerate. Unfortunately, Hurricane Ian dashed any hopes of the downward trend continuing into 2023. The average estimated losses for Hurricane Ian right now are estimated at $60 billion, which is expected to overtake Hurricane Katrina. In addition, 12 of the 22 most costly events in all of U.S. history, adjusted for current dollars, occurred during the years of 2010 to 2022. So what challenges are we seeing coming into 2023? The large losses have hit the reinsurance market, resulting in increased costs for reinsurers that will ultimately be passed on to the primary insurance companies that insure the city and insureds like the city of Riviera Beach. In addition, there are increased scrutiny on values. What they have found in recent storms is that the property values that are being reported and insured are much less than what is the actual replacement cost value when they go to adjust the loss and rebuild. This is further impacted by labor shortages and supply chain issues that have followed COVID. So what we are seeing is, in addition, is increased rates, reduction in capacity, and further pressure on named windstorm and water damage deductibles. Fortunately, the city of Riviera Beach renewed its insurance program before we really hit this very large downtrend in the market. And I can tell you, just in the past 2 weeks, the property market in particular has gotten much worse, and entities are not seeing as favorable renewals as the city of Riviera Beach did. One of the other areas that makes this property market more taxing on insureds like the city of Riviera Beach is typically in past cycles when we've had a hard market for a property, We've been able to balance that out with softer workers' compensation rates or auto rates or general liability rates. Right now, we are seeing pressure in all lines of coverage, which is unprecedented. So both insurers are seeing losses on all sides, and insureds, as the City of Riviera Beach, are getting hit in all directions from rate increases. The next area is the city's exposures. So for getting any type of rate increase, this is the increase that an insurance company would expect to see just based on the increased exposures. For example, the city's payroll is estimated to be up 10.5% this year. The vehicles are up 23%. The gross operating expenditures budgeted are up approximately 15%. The municipal property values are up almost 7%, and the water utilities are currently up about 3%. Finally, the insurance companies are looking at the losses over the past 10 years sustained by the city. This includes both losses retained within the city's retention, as well as losses that are paid by the insurance companies in excess of your retention or your deductible. So as far as the marketing and the insurance renewal, Gallagher approached over 60 companies and programs on behalf of the city. We leveraged our relationships and market capacity to obtain the best pricing and coverage that was available at the time of your renewal, and received over 20 quotes and indications on your behalf. We considered looking at various different retention levels, as well as limits and sublimits, to get the most comprehensive and cost-effective program for the city. The overall renewal results were a premium increase of 12.5%. When you look at the average exposure increase of 10% across the payroll, property values, vehicles, etc., this is a very favorable renewal. The city also elected to increase its workers' compensation retention this year from $270,000 to $325,000. This yielded a premium savings of $61,500, and it should be noted that the SIR for workers' compensation had not been increased by the city in over 20 years. So this accounts for an increase in both indemnity and medical costs. So it is a very needed and relatively small retention increase for that line of coverage. In addition, the city's loss fund increased from $2,725,000 to $3,285,000. Those numbers are included in the total budgeted spend that was reported by Mr. Shields, and it should be noted that this is city money. The city holds on to this money until such time as any claims occur and payments are actually made out. So including that total loss fund, the total program cost increased about 16.6%. This is, like I said, this is an extremely favorable renewal, and as we move into 2023, we do expect to see further increases that should be budgeted for in the next fiscal year. Any questions?
Any questions from the board?
Madam Chair, I think I asked Mr. Shields in the agenda review the difference between this year and last year in terms of the percentage of how much it changed.
The increase last year versus this year?
Yes.
The increase last year, I believe, was about 10%. And this year, we're looking at, if you include the loss fund, about 16%.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments?
No.
All right, thank you. Madam Clerk?
Chairperson Miller Anderson.
Yes.
Chair Pro Tem Lanier.
Yes.
Councilperson Botel.
Yes.
Councilperson Lawson.
Yes.
That vote passes, Madam Chair.
All right, item 11D.
11D.
Yes.
Resolution number 18-23, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Riviera Beach, Palm Beach County, Florida, authorizing the mayor to execute a release of water, sewer, lot clearing, and demolition assessment and/or code enforcement lien encumbering real property owned by the city at 1521 West 12th Street, Riviera Beach, and declaring a release of assessments and/or liens on the real property owned by the city to be used for affordable housing, serve a public purpose, providing an effective date, and for other purposes. Madam Chair, we do have one public comment on this item, and the acceptance of public comment cards are now closed.
Motion to approve resolution number 18-23.
Second.
All right, Ms. Jacobs?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mrs. McBride will be presenting this particular item as well as the following three.
All right, Ms. McBride.
Madam Chair, members of the council, this item is similar to the one in Resolution 15-23, and the main purpose for it being here is for you to authorize the mayor to execute any release of lien needed to provide clear title to the property. The city acquired the property by tax deed in December of 2016, and it has been vacant for quite a while. Okay.
All right.
And
That's it for the presentation? Public comment card?
Mr. Lloyd Brown?
How you doing? My name's Lloyd Brown.
Good evening.
And you know what? I hear about your public housing. So what do you call all these houses you squeezing in? Like you got a 21 by 21 foot lot and you put in an 18 by 18 house. What are those houses? I mean, are they just there? I think they're just investment houses and y'all getting a part of the cut. And I'll be honest with you, because people don't want to live in where you talking about. They want to live in the areas where they grew up. And I bet I've been here longer than anybody in this whole place. I've been here 68 years. It'll be 69 in April. And let me tell you, it's a whole big change. And you talking about public housing. Back when I was here, you couldn't put a house in such a small property. You couldn't put, they put two houses in where we couldn't put but one. That's when these lots were owned by black people. I don't know who talked to you or who made you change this situation, but it's a damn shame. Then we put y'all first, and y'all put us last. I mean, you look around the city, all these houses coming up, and I don't even see no inspectors, because, see, my eyes are always open. I ride through and watch a house for weeks, every day. I didn't see a damn inspector come in, none of them. And then with the code enforcement, I mean, public housing, whatever. Okay, let me tell you something. I know people live in these houses they just built. They got an attitude toward the person who's on Section 8 to live next to them. And I mean, y'all just letting these people just come in and just take everything. The water rising, so they got to get off that beach. Prices are going up, so investors are coming in, building these houses. They're making them into boarding houses. I've seen a boarding house right down where the school bus stopped. Now, who in a halfway house? Thieves, murderers, people who molest kids, and y'all steady letting them put in our neighborhood. And we put y'all in here, like I said, we put y'all first. I mean, y'all gained a lot of weight. Y'all eating pretty good. And that's kind of bad, because we doing pretty bad. And y'all seem like y'all don't give a damn. And that's a shame that black people, if you don't realize you black now and that you need to help your own, something effed up here. I mean, honestly, we got more black people up here on the council, and we getting less, oh man, I almost said that S word. We getting less stuff done for the black community, but it ain't all on y'all. I see these people at these stores, they talking about black people don't stick together, but they steady spending in the stores, investing money, and these people done bought all the property around them. You won't find a trailer in my, you'll find a trailer in my yard, but I can tell you down the street from me, they don't say shit to these people, but there's a big...
Mr. Brown, please do not use
Okay, well, put my time back since you interfered.
No, you're...
Okay, well, let me say this. I see a mobile home behind a house, and you effing with me.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. All right, Ms. any comments
No,
from the board?
Madam Chair?
Yes.
Ms. Jacobs, I'm sorry, Ms. McBride.
yes, sir.
Do you happen to have the lot size for this property on 12th Street?
I will look to see. But I will share with you, Mr. Councilman Lawson, for that particular part of Riviera Beach is probably pre-war homes up near the Brooks Center area, and many of those homes are about at 1,000 square feet, the existing ones. Okay, all right. But no, I don't. I've looked through my records. I don't see.
Okay. So removing the liens, and I believe that's the intent is based on the backup to work with Habitat for Humanity
Right.
through their affordable housing program.
Right.
How are we going to determine the residents or the individuals that are going to actually benefit from this property? Is there going to be an application process? Do they have to go through Habitat? Are they going to apply to the city? What's going to be the steps we're
They
taking?
will go through Habitat, but our agreement will provide that they will target residents of Riviera Beach.
Talk a little closer to the mic, sorry.
I say they will go through Habitat, but our agreement will provide that they will target residents of Riviera Beach.
Have we already established that agreement?
No, it comes to you probably first meeting in February.
Okay, so to just add on, making sure that the priority is going to be Riviera Beach residents. Of course, it's going to be primary residents. It's going to be first-time home buyers or individuals that are coming into the community. But making sure that we have those opportunities for the residents. The lot size, from what I can see, is 0.13 acres. So the size is standard with what can actually be built in single-family homes in that area. So I don't see any concerns with the size of it. And the liens that we're going to be releasing, what's the total amount of the liens?
I'm told by finance that it's zero, but they are still, as of this morning, on the property. Okay.
Okay, so there is no lien. So what are we releasing exactly?
Well, basically what we're doing is clearing up the paperwork on the title to the property.
What does that mean?
Though we say there's no lien, the
Right.
title work still demonstrate there is one. Okay?
So we're releasing no lien.
We're releasing whatever document is there on that property so that we ultimately transfer to the new homeowner a clear title, and there's no cloud on their title.
Okay, I have a little bit more understanding of real estate when it comes to liens. So when you say that we're doing a release of lien, there's normally some type of encumbrance on the lien. There's normally some type of dollar amounts or something that's actually
I
over.
agree with you. I agree.
So we're releasing nothing. Could somebody maybe from finance give
Well,
us
if
an
I
answer
look-
as to what's going on with this? Because I'm not understanding why are we doing a release of lien if there's no dollar amount attached to it?
Because when I look at the title work, and according to the attorney who reviewed and we hired to review our title work, there are liens there. Okay? The exact amount is not stated.
So you're saying that we just can't find it?
Right.
Okay.
Because of the age of it, probably.
Okay, how many properties in Riviera Beach have liens that we don't have dollar amounts attached to them? And do we have to provide clear lien releases to? Because this is concerning if we're releasing a lien and we don't know the amounts. What are we doing tonight?
Well, Mr. Lawson, I really wouldn't know that because I would have to do a title search on every property. So the only title work that has been ordered have been the ones we've identified the vacant lots to be part of this particular project. Okay,
And when we did this title work and search, we found that there was a lien on the property, but there's no dollar amounts attached to it.
Right. And they date back to Resolution 101-95. And I think some of the problem is it was not officially probably recorded by Ms. Ward until 2011, June 2011. I think that's what made it problematic.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Any other questions or comments? All right, Madam Clerk?
Yes. Chairperson Miller Anderson,
Yes.
Chair Pro Tem Lanier,
Yes.
Councilperson Botel,
Yes.
Councilperson Lawson.
Yes.
That item passes, Madam Chair.
All right, 11E.
Madam Chair, before I read this into the record, just to be clear, we're changing the amount from $75,000 to $90,000, correct?
Yes. Yes,
McBride.
because the resolution and the agreement provides for 90.
Yes.
And Madam Chair, for the record, we had first agreed to put 75. After we had placed that on the agenda, we heard from the Federal Home Loan Bank that they would fund us at the rate of 90,000, not 75 for the particular
right.
project.
Okay, thanks.
Resolution number 0123, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Riviera Beach, Palm Beach County, Florida, authorizing the mayor and city clerk to execute a memorandum of understanding between the city and the Legal Aid Society of Palm Beach County Incorporated, a Florida not-for-profit corporation, to provide certain legal services related to Harris property located in Federal Gardens, Riviera Beach Heights neighborhoods, and other parts of the city as part of the city's neighborhood revitalization pilot project, authorizing payment for such services up to $90,000 to Legal Aid Society of Palm Beach County Incorporated, providing for an effective date and for other purposes. Madam Chair, we do not have any public comment cards on this item, and the accepting of public comment cards are now closed.
Motion to approve resolution number 1-23.
Second.
All right, Ms. McBride.
Okay. Madam Chair, members of the council, we've had several discussions about heirs property over the last year, and this really provides us with an opportunity to at least initiate clearing up heirs property related issues in some of our older communities. Of the 2 communities that were identified for the pilot project, I know we've identified at least about 12 estate related properties in Federal Gardens, about 20 in Riviera Beach Heights, and it appears that no activity has occurred on those properties to clearly identify an owner beyond that estate of the deceased person. And what we might find, unfortunately sometimes, it might be a multi-generational issue. So we thought we needed to have a group that could help us focus, not only to educate our residents, members of families who find them in this situation, but also assist them with bringing some clarity to their title and ownership, which long-term helps the city and the value of its properties within the city. We do have with us tonight Mr. Robert Burdish, who's the Executive Director of the Legal Aid Society, and Attorney Tanisha Miles, one of their leading attorneys, who will be heading up and leading this project on our behalf. And I would ask them if they would come up to introduce themselves.
All right, you come right over here.
And I also can tell you one reason I've noticed that in looking and examining the issues for heirs properties, which are noted to be significant in the south and southeastern portion of the United States, and it really came to light relative to black farmers. But I also began to note that many legal aid societies had assist with addressing these issues. And that's why I thought of our local legal aid society. And I would also note that over the past year, I worked with them to address not only a housing-related issue with foundation and repairs with them and the Palm Beach County Development Office with one of our local residents, too.
All right, good evening.
Good evening, Madam Chair and members of the council. I'm Bob Burdish. I'm the Executive Director of the Legal Aid Society here in Palm Beach County. Very excited about working on this program. We have a number of especially older citizens, residents of Riviera Beach who come to us and who are living on property which they have every right to live on, but they do not have any clear title to that property. And because of that, there are certain services, certain grants that they cannot apply for to help them improve their property and also to make this asset worth a lot more. I'd like to introduce, as Ms. McBride said, Takesha Miles. She's the supervising attorney of our housing programs here in Palm Beach County, so she can tell you a little more about this pilot program that we'd really enjoy working with the city of Riviera Beach and helping these residents to really do a good job in making their homes more, getting them market good title, and helping them to really increase the value of the property which they own.
Good evening.
Good evening.
So why this is important is that when the property is in the title is air property, many of the residents here will not have access to FEMA benefits. So if there is a hurricane that comes through, without having clear title, they won't be able to apply for FEMA benefits. They lack homestead exemption, which makes their tax bill higher. And if there's a need to do a loan modification, if there's a mortgage on the property, they don't have the ability to speak directly with the mortgage company. And we found that also if there, as Mr. Burr stated, that when there is ship or sale or any kind of funds to rehab the properties, they're not going to be eligible for those properties if they don't have clear title. So I think this is an opportunity for residents to get free legal help to clear the title. So we'll be doing probate. So if they haven't done probate for their mom, their dad, or whoever owned the property initially, we'll be doing probate, quiet title, any type of partition actions to make sure that whoever's living in the property or who is supposed to be the owner of the property gets clear title. As part of this service, we will also be offering the preparation of deeds and estate planning services. So if there's individuals living in a home who will be getting the title to the property, we'll make sure they have a will so that when they pass away, the property has some lead to the next heir so that this doesn't happen to a future generation. So thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
Mr. Burdish, how long have you been with Legal Aid?
I have been with the Legal Aid Society now for 42 years.
I knew that was you. I remember you back in the 90s working with the HOPWA and the Ryan White programs
Yes.
with the City of West Palm Beach and Palm Beach County. And you're still there.
I'm still there.
Wow. Thank you guys so much for this program. Ms. McBride and I had often talked about a lot of the residents in the city not having clear title to their property, and one of the biggest things was when we did have hurricanes, they could not access those funds, and especially when there's SHIP money available at the county, they cannot access those funds. So that was a big issue for us in terms of trying to look at this whole neighborhood revitalization project. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. And as I said, we're very excited about working with the city on this program.
Thank you. Any other public comments? Any other comments or questions? All right, Madam Clerk?
Chairperson Miller Anderson.
Yes.
Chair Pro Tem Lanier.
Yes.
Councilperson Botel.
Yes.
Councilperson Lawson.
Yes.
That vote passes, Madam Chair.
All right, so it's a little bit after 7:30. We'll move into public comments and come back to those other agenda items. Public comments shall begin at 7:30 p.m. unless there is no further business of the City Council, which in that event, it shall begin sooner. In addition, if an item is being considered at 7:30 p.m., then comments from the public shall begin immediately after the item has been concluded. Please be reminded the City Council Board has adopted rules of decorum governing public conduct during official meetings, which has been posted at the front desk. In an effort to preserve order, if any of the rules are not adhered to, the City Council chairperson may have any disruptive speaker or attendee removed from the podium, from the meeting, and/or the building if necessary. Please govern yourselves accordingly.
Madam Chair, we have a total of 6 public comment cards. However, one person did submit 2 cards, so that gives us 5.
What do you mean they submitted to? We're just taking one, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
The acceptance of public comment cards are now closed. Derek Dorsett, Lloyd Brown, and Mr. Winston. Derek Dorsett.
Just want to remind you all to watch the clock up there. You do have the 3 minutes.
Good evening, Council, everyone here. I'm here on behalf of a victim of domestic violence. She's here this evening. Her name is Chandria Carter. I got wind of her through a social media site called Nextdoor, which Ms. Botel is often on. We communicate through Nextdoor as it relates to anything occurring in Riviera Beach. I just want to read to you what she's going through. This is from Channel 12. A man accused of battering a woman and telling his telling her his political connections would make it all go away. The victim told the officer that on November 20th, and her fiance Rodney Roberts, 46, went out for food. While eating, the two got into an argument, and the victim left after she finished eating. According to the probable cause affidavit, the victim got into a car and locked the door so Roberts could not get in before driving away. Shortly after, Roberts texted the victim saying he left his keys in her vehicle and asked her to drop the keys off to him. The victim told police that she went to 1581 West 14th Street to return the keys, and while at the house, the two began to argue again. The victim tried to leave, but Roberts grabbed her from behind and allegedly slapped her 3 times with an open hand. She then tried to open the door, but Roberts got in front of it and told her that she wasn't going anywhere. The affidavit says that when the victim tried to get past him, he struck her with a closed fist. Roberts then began to choke her with his forearm across her throat while standing behind her. The victim told police she was unsure what happened in the next few minutes, but when she regained her sense, she was on the back of a car outside of the house, and he had his forearm across her neck. The affidavit says the victim proceeded to bite and scratch Roberts in self-defense, but he continued to hold her down. The victim told police that at that point, Roberts touched his lips where he was bleeding and then touched her lips, which were also bloody, and said, "Now we are connected forever, your blood, my blood." According to the report, the victim broke free and ran to a car to grab her licensed firearm, and Roberts went back into the house. The victim reached out to a domestic violence advocate who took her to Riviera Beach Police Department. The victim told police she had not reported it sooner because Roberts told her nothing would happen, that he would make it go away as the same as another woman. According to the victim, another woman was raped by Roberts, and he made it disappear. She threatening messages from Roberts were submitted into evidence, and photos of the victim were taken, where she has a swollen lip, a minor laceration, bruising and swelling around her left eye, irritation on her neck, a small bruise and redness on her midsection, and bruising and swelling on her left arm. Roberts was arrested and charged with felony regulation.
Thank you.
We just want to support her.
Thank you.
Next is Mr. Lloyd Brown and Mr. Winston.
I think this time I'm kind of give you a break because it's not all on you. When I walk around the city, I see the people that I grew up with, they hang around these stores all day long. I mean, they working overtime, not getting paid. And it's like, they'll get out there and they'll tell a young guy, they'll say, black people don't stick together, but they'll spend all their money up to that corner store. I call them investors, but not any returns, because they're investing in the man, and he's getting everything out of the investment, and they're not getting anything but the 24 hours, standing around. And it doesn't make sense for me to come over here and criticize you people and leave them standing alone, because I grew up with a lot of these people. And let me tell you something. My mama told me they like to get you told, They'll talk about the government, but they'll stand on the corner 24 hours a day. You go up in the morning, we don't need no clubs or nothing in Riviera Beach. The stores are our club. Okay, and another thing, with the code enforcement, if somebody come in here and they get a house that some people I knew that live there, why do they get to do things that you want to put liens on the other people who've been living here? Like, I know there's a place down the street on 35th Street and S Avenue, behind the house, they got a mobile home. They telling me about a trail in my yard. Let me tell you, I'm on strike with the code enforcement. I don't care what they say to me, because a white guy, congressman, maybe that might make a difference since I say it was a white guy, he told me they can put as many liens on you as they want to. They can't take your property. So, since I got that from a white guy, you black people up there might feel a little different about messing with me. So all I got to say is, it's not just you. It's my friends, the ones that go to church, the ones that stay home or don't go to church. I mean, if you listening to me out there, it's you. You sit your butts at home and you talking about we don't stick together, but you never show up over here. Yeah, I'm talking to you out there, and I'm talking to all y'all. I don't really care about saying anything to these people every time I come over here, because I know they don't want to hear it. And then I'm almost like wasting my time. When I ride around early in the morning, these people are at these stores. Late at night, they're at these stores. You could stand on the corner up there in Lake Park and hold a sign up that says Russo's or whatever, and you can get paid. But then you want to sit there and tell these young brothers, oh man, we don't stick together. Well, they might want to be like you. They just might want to collect Social Security and stand on the corner all day too. So I'm sorry about what I said to y'all, but it's not just y'all fault up here. It's some people out there. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Winston, Ms. Cindy March, and Mr. Joseph Sanchez.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Winston. I don't have a lot to say, just it's a new year, glad to be here, and still on my food truck events, same way. It's been 2 years since I'm still trying to fight with this city to find a place for my food truck. I'm still fighting, and I'm not going to stop fight with this city. Mr. Evans, I'm sorry you're not here. I got some bones to pick with you. You are the city manager. Not one time have you ever put this food truck events in the meeting so they could discuss it. You say you're going to make some changes. Some audience need to be changed so you could find a place for the food truck. You're not doing nothing for us to make a living. Maybe because I'm a small business, I don't have the money to take you out to the restaurant, treat you, fine wine and dine you. You ain't care about me. I'm a small person. Check for me. I'm a small person who want to do business in Riviera Beach. A few weeks ago, I went to St. Petersburg. Somebody came to my food truck, a white guy. There were 3-day events up there. He said, what's your name? I said, my name is so-and-so. He said, I'll pay for you. Ship you all your equipments to come to Washington, D.C. with your food business. He said, nothing like this up there. I said, I like your idea, but it's too cold for me. I said, I like here in South Florida. I've been in Riviera Beach close to 30 years, and I still like to do business here. Never live in West Palm Beach, never live in Lake Park. All my 30 years right here in Riviera Beach. This is where I call home, and I would still like to do business here in Riviera Beach. It's a new year. I'm asking the city, look into it. There's plenty of space here. You're giving all these contractors, all these big developers a place to do business. You're not leaving no room for the small businesses to strive. No place for us to put a food truck. You go to Orlando, Jacksonville, Kissimmee, everywhere I go, there's always a spot for food trucks. There's nothing in Riviera Beach. Go to Lake Worth, big old spot for the food truck. They could go there, park up. People come by. They want taco, they want chicken, they want pork, they want ham. It's a choice. The people have choices, you know. So that's what I'm asking for. It's a new year, and I'm asking again, let's make it happen this year. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Cindy March and Mr. Joseph Sanchez.
Hi, Cindy March. We came to the meeting about 2 or 3 meetings ago before this meeting. We wasn't even aware that the meeting had been canceled. I would like to see, like when you all go to cut ribbon for a certain place that you all building, y'all go on Channel 5 or Channel 12 and let them know that the meeting been canceled. Because we was hyperventilating real bad in the parking lot when we get to the door and it wasn't a meeting. I understand it has to be decorum. 3 of you all was out. For whatever reason it may be, you're human. You can get sick. You can have personal problems, you know, so we understand that. But just be more transparent to the people that helped place you all in office. Because without us, it would not be no you. And second thing, I have 2 questions I would like answered. Do you all have a housing? I hear you talking about the homeowners, but what about the renters? Do you all have a housing board that will hold landlords responsible in the way we live in their property? I know it's not much you all can do, but do you all have a housing board? And if so, how can you get on that committee? Because I'm telling you, we not only have to hold the big developers responsible, we have to hold these landlords responsible. Everybody not up under Section 8. Everybody is not with adopted family, and I'm one of them. I pay rent out my pocket, and I never be late with my rent. So I just want to know, how can you get on a housing board, not to play tick for tack with people because what happened to me, but just make sure that their code is intact. Make sure it's livable, you know? I don't care where you stay. You have to feel like you're at home. And when things not right, I had the city come out. My water drip. It takes 10 minutes for me to fill up a pot of water. And you know what he told me? He said, this is not the city problem. This is the landlord problem. I can't say nothing to her because it get to be argumentative. And that's not what I'm about. It might seem like it. That's what y'all don't heard. But I'm a type of person. I can be the better person. When I'm wrong, I admit when I'm wrong. Even when I'm not wrong. To move and get things cleared out, I'll be the first one to apologize and be sincere about it. So I want to know, is that a housing committee or a housing board committee? I also wants to know, do the landlord has to fill out an application through the city before they can rent their property, and code enforcement come out and check that property? Because I'm the type of person, I went in there and made the place my own. Now I got to get out by January 31st because of a rust refrigerator. You tell me where that makes sense at. I'm blaming the big developers. I'm blaming some of these landlords. The big developers and the white man not just our problem. We are our own problem. Some of us are our own problem. I trust what I'm telling you. And I'm not defaming the character of my people, but I love to see anybody do good. I'm not about wrong. I'm not about black or white. I'm about for what's right.
Thank you.
Last but not least, Mr. Joseph Sanchez.
Hi, good evening and Happy New Year.
Good evening.
Chairperson Miller Anderson and council members, I'm Joseph Sanchez. Wear several different hats. Tonight I'm back to you as the president of the Black Chamber of Commerce of Palm Beach County. Just want to let you know that we're having our second annual MLK 5K and Divine 9 Challenge right here in your city, in River Beach, on Saturday, January 21st at 7:30. We had a great event earlier this year. Actually, it was in May, postponed due to COVID, but we're looking to have it on January 21st, the week after the parade. It's looking to be a great event. It's going to take place starting at Dan Calloway Park, and we'll be running up and down MLK Boulevard. Very appropriate to be running on his boulevard for his celebration. We have kids races. We have a 1 mile fun run. We have a 5K, and we have a 10K, so there's something for everybody to get involved in. So we invite you to join us and get healthy and get fit for 2023. We're expecting somewhere around 400 people, plus several exhibitors talking about health and fitness as well. We invite the residents. We have a special promo code for residents of River Beach. That's RBRES 23. That's RBRES, a River Beach resident 23, and they get $5 off for registration. I also want to point out that all of the elementary school students in River Beach can participate for free thanks to a generous sponsorship from the Children's Services Council. So all kids can participate for free. And all participants are going to receive a T-shirt. They receive a finisher's medal, and we have awards for different categories, and also have refreshments. So I'm going to leave you with some flyers here. I want to thank you guys again for your participation. Your Parks and Recreation Department and your Police Department have been wonderful to work with. They continue to be a great resource for us, and thank you guys for partnering with us on this activity.
Thank you. All right, we're going to move to 11F.
Resolution number 22-23, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Riviera Beach, Palm Beach County, Florida, approving funds for the implementation of the Neighborhood Reclaim and Renaissance Program of Riviera Beach Community Redevelopment Agency for areas of the city not included in the designated redevelopment area of the Community Redevelopment Plan as adopted by the City Council, approving the redevelopment agency, approving the interlocal agreement between the city and the Riviera Beach Community Redevelopment Agency, authorizing the mayor and city clerk to execute same, providing an effective date and for other purposes. Madam Chair, we do not have any public comment cards on this item, and the acceptance of public comment items are closed.
Motion to approve resolution number 22-23.
Second. Before we start on this item, I did forget to ask Ms. Jacobs if she had any answers to any of those questions. We can come back afterwards if you had any answers to the questions from public comment.
I'm sorry, Madam Chair. Yes, we can do that. I was wondering if you wanted to do it, but you went ahead with
Yeah,
Mrs.
I forgot
McBride's
about it.
items.
You want to go ahead and do it now? Do you all want to come back afterwards or go ahead and do it now? Okay. All right, we'll come back after this one here. All right, Ms. McBride?
Madam Chair, members of the council, this item comes back to you tonight from the last meeting where I indicated we would bring the interlocal agreement between the city and CRA for utilization of the $500,000 for the Reclaim and Renaissance program. And this basically is standard of your interlocal agreements that we have with the CRA. But for tonight, since I didn't receive these comments until late after it had been put on the agenda, I do have 4 motions that I need to add the changes that are here. In Section 3 regarding the funding of the program, and these came recommended from the CRA. In Section 3, paragraph 3.1.1, to add the language and program expenses for matters as surveys, title searches, lien searches, or inspection fees may be taken from the allocated funds. And also for Section 3.12 for the Renaissance program, the identical language also be added, and it should be from, not for. And the new added paragraph 3.1.3, providing that an administrative fee may be allocated to the agency as determined by the city manager. However, such administrative fee shall not exceed 3% of the above funds. Okay. And the only other addition would be paragraph 4.4, that all obligations of the agency as provided in this agreement shall be performed by the agency's staff. Okay.
All right, so we don't have any public comment cards. So you said for those additions that you just did up there, you want
Yes,
individual
we need a
motions?
motion to,
individually, you said?
yeah, well, basically, I guess we could have a combined motion for Section 3 and then another one for Section 4.4.
Ms. Nguyen, do we need to do separate ones, or we can just do, huh?
I think you can just, I'm sorry. Madam Chair, I think you can just do it, just one.
With the corrections or the additions that she placed up there?
Yes.
Okay. All right, you all have questions or comments?
Yes.
Go ahead.
I have questions because I think I was asking about who would be performing these services for this program. We were talking about the fact that this is a city program, and so now you're saying that the CRA staff is going to be providing the staffing for this?
Yeah, basically, that's what y'all agreed to at the last meeting.
No.
Okay,
No.
that the city would hold on to the funds. That was how I walked away thinking.
So what, the
But-
CRA is going to hire somebody to do it?
No, their staff would do it. Their staff would be responsible for, am I right, Ms. Jenkins? For managing the Reclaim and Renaissance program. Do you want to join us? Okay.
I got problems with that. When we talked about this program, we talked about the fact that it was a separate program from the city's, from the CRA's program. And what we have here is the CRA providing the staffing to this with the city's money. So if you're going to use current staff, are you going to, allow 15, 20, 30% of that staff's time to to the city's program? How does that work?
Yeah. If you would.
Anita Jenkins, Director of Neighborhood Services for the Community Redevelopment Agency. As I mentioned at the last meeting, the purpose in bringing this program forward with the same guidelines is to make it a seamless process for residents.
We already receive a number of calls every week from residents interested in down payment assistance and rehab assistance, but we're unable to refer them or to assist them because the city did not have a comparable program. Funding would stay with the city, but CRA staff who are already conducting the Renaissance and the Reclaim program on the CRA side would process the applications in the same manner. And it would be a seamless process for residents.
I don't doubt that at all, that it'll be a seamless process. But what I'm concerned about is the fact that the CRA and the city's funds in terms of this program, and I understand that the city's funds will stay with the city, but the staff, how will that staff be paid? Is that just a part of their duties now?
It's just a part of our duties. There's no extra compensation, no dollars are transferred, the dollars remain with the city.
Okay, so what is the 3% for?
It's an administrative fee, it's up to 3%, and it's at the discretion of the city manager to compensate CRA for any additional administrative burden. There are reports that will be required from the CRA and documentation that we promised would come back to this board in terms of monitoring and evaluation of the program.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Any other questions or comments?
Madam Chair?
Go ahead.
Applications, Ms. Jenkins, how early or how soon will the reclaim applications be out for the city program, the $200,000 that's going into it?
We have to bring this item before the CRA board at its very next meeting to approve the interlocal agreement. We'll be ready to roll it out the very next day.
Okay, so is this going to be on the CRA agenda next week?
Yes, sir.
Excellent. And I see it's only 200 that we allocated. I believe at the last meeting I asked for additional funding to possibly be added to this program, but I think that the board wants to just see this executed effectively and efficiently. So 200,000, which would equate to between 4 and 6 properties for homeowners, current homeowners, and then 300,000 for the first-time homebuyer program. Now, I know it may take a little longer for that 300,000 programming funding, which is up to $50,000 for each resident, to go out to those homeowners, because we have to go through the purchase process, we have to go through the approval process for those clients, and actually finding properties that they can afford to move into with this Renaissance program. But at least this reclaim program, I want to make sure that when we bring it before the CRA, get it approved, get the applications out, we do a mass marketing strategy for the residents to know that they can get up to $50,000 to renovate and revitalize their homes, so that we could possibly replenish that quickly. Because if we can get at least those dollars out, that could be utilized within the next 30 to 60 days by residents, and then hopefully this board could possibly approve some more funds for that.
Yes, sir.
So the goal right now is this first quarter, if we can get some applications out and responded, but that's going to just take a team effort by making sure the message is out to all residents that, hey, we have some money for you to renovate your property and to bring it up to standard, whether it's liens, whether it's renovations, whether it's roofing, driveway, and all the different repairs that are here.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Ms. Jenkins, and thank you, Madam Chair.
All right, any other questions or comments? Madam Clerk?
Madam Chair, is the maker of the motion amending her motion to include the highlights?
Dr. Botel?
I will amend the motion to include all of those changes.
And does the second still stand, Ms. Miller Anderson?
That was me? Oh.
Yes.
I'm surprised. I normally don't get in there. Yes.
All right. Chairperson Miller Anderson?
Yes.
Chair Pro Tem Lanier?
Yes.
Councilperson Botel?
Yes.
Councilperson Lawson?
Yes.
That vote passes, Madam Chair.
All right,
Thank you.
11G.
11G, resolution number 16-23, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Riviera Beach, Palm Beach County, Florida, authorizing the mayor and city clerk to execute a release of water, sewer, lot clearing, and demolition assessments and a code enforcement lien encumbering real property owned by the city at 617 West 5th Street Riviera Beach, and declaring a release of assessments and liens on the real property owned by the city to be used for affordable housing, serve a public purpose, providing an effective date, and for other purposes. Madam Chair, we do not have any public comment cards on this item, and the acceptance of public comment cards are now closed.
Motion to approve resolution number 16-23.
Second.
All right, and I forgot again, so Ms. Jacobs, we're gonna have you do this at the end, all right? All right, Ms. McBride?
Yes, Madam Chair. This particular item for 1617 West Fifth Street is similar to 1521 West 12th and 563 West Fifth Street, which of this property did have liens, mainly code enforcement liens at one time, but the report from code enforcement on 12/28/22 indicates that they are non and that the property is in compliance. But as of today, my latest report from the title company indicate that there is still on the property liens. So I would request that the mayor be authorized to release any liens at closing, should they exist on the property.
All right. Did you said no public comment card?
No, ma'am.
All right. Questions or comments for the board? All right, Madam Clerk?
Chairperson Miller Anderson.
Yes.
Chair Pro Tem Lanier.
Yes.
Councilperson Botel.
Yes.
Councilperson Lawson.
Yes.
That vote passes, Madam Chair.
All right, thank you, Ms. McBride. Discussion by city manager. She's gonna do it then. Yeah, she'll do it then. Go ahead.
Okay. So I'll go ahead and use this as an opportunity to go over the public comments.
Yes.
The first one was Mr. Dorsett. He simply wanted to let the public and the council know that he had, of his personal support of the victim. The second one was Mr. Lloyd Brown, where he mentioned 35th Street and Avenue S, that there was an RV parked in the yard. Mr. Sermons is still here, so I'm sure he took note of that, and we'll follow up with Mr. Brown to determine exactly what that issue is. The third public comment came from Mr. Winston regarding food truck events. I'm not sure of commitments that were made by City Manager Evans, but I'll be glad to speak to him. I usually talk to him on a regular basis to figure out what exactly was addressed with Mr. Winston, and if there's an opportunity for us to assist him, I'm sure we will. The fourth comment was from Mrs. Cindy March. She had issues with regards to whether or not there was a housing board or housing committee that existed here with the city of Riviera Beach. There is no such board or committee. She also asked about how would you get on the board or committee. Repeated, there is no such board or committee that exists here with our agency. With regards to landlords and their responsibilities, those are civil matters. There are entities that I'm aware of that might be able to assist her, which would be the Urban League of Palm Beach County, Fair Housing Center of the Greater Palm Beaches, and Florida Rural Legal Services. And also there's the state of Florida, the court system, where you could also issue complaints through the court system if you have matters or complaints with your landlords and issues with your leases. She also asked about completing applications with the city if landlords are required to do so. Rental housing is considered a business here in the city of Riviera Beach, and landlords are required to receive BTRs. As a part of their receipt of a BTR, at the initial request, the properties are scheduled for inspections. The last comment came from Mr. Joe Sanchez with regards to the Black Chamber of Commerce run. He asked about us helping to distribute marketing materials. I can make contact with him and let him know as a result of his comments that I have seen materials distributed and shared not only at the library but in City Hall as well. I'm also going to take an opportunity to find out whether or not Mr. Sanchez's organization submitted a special event application. There was one last comment that Mr. Ferguson made that I meant to mention to him, and it slipped my mind before he left. I see Mr. Blankenship has already left the room, but he mentioned a garden, over at JFK. There is a garden that already exists there, and it's my understanding that the garden was conveyed to E-Roadmap through Palm Beach County, as well as the school board. So he may not be aware, and the principal at JFK may not be aware, but there's already a relationship that exists in order to start up a culinary opportunity for students at JFK Middle School. Those are all of my comments, and thank you.
All right, thank you. Did you have anything else for your part here at the end, outside of public comments?
Sure. In the month of March, I think it's around the spring of March, we always visit the Tallahassee for Palm Beach County Days. We were in the process of putting together appropriations to present to our lobbyists for him to take on to the legislature, for them to consider giving dollars to us through the state of Florida. It was city administration's intent to be able to bring those different appropriation requests to you at this particular meeting, because they're due to our lobbyists on the 13th of this month. That didn't happen. I was going to do it at this meeting in particular, so I'll be sharing those appropriations with you sometime between now but before January 13th, just so that you'll be aware of them, and if you have any input with regards to the recommended appropriations, you can go ahead and share those with us. Thank you.
All right. City Attorney?
No, thank you, Madam Chair.
City Council Committee reports.
No, thank you.
What?
I know. I was sick.
Oh, she couldn't go anywhere. Okay. Mr. Lawson? Mr. Lawson?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just want to announce on January 16th, we'll be hosting our annual through District 5 Restoring the Village, asking all my colleagues and residents to attend. It's going to be a community picnic and annual event where we do free haircuts for the kids, nail painting for the young ladies, free food, games, vendors, music, and it's focused around unifying our community, eradicating the stigma around mental health, and having the discussion. We'll have NAMI there with us to speak, and we'll have a lot of guest speakers there. So it's free for the community. That is MLK Monday, the 16th of January at 2 p.m., and we're hosting it in the park. It'll be at Cunningham Park. So Chief Lewis, Chief Curd, I sent you guys the information. I know I'll see you guys out there. Thank you so much for everything you guys do. And did have a follow-up as well to see if Ms. McBride or Ms. Jacobs, if we had set the date for our closed session. I know an email was going out, but I wasn't sure if we had confirmed the date as of yet for the discussions with the PBA.
So from my understanding, is it January the 11th? 18th, okay. Mrs. McBride is saying that it's set for January 18th.
So we are confirmed. Thank you, Ms. Jacobs.
You're welcome.
Dr. Botel? Chair Pro Tem?
I'd just like to thank everybody who came out for our third annual Kwanzaa program here in Riviera Beach over at our Marina Village Promenade. It was a success for the program. I'd like to thank Joshu and Brother Akbar, and especially Sister Kaliba Love for their help, and especially Snowy, who works with the city's public works program, who certainly helped us out in terms of making sure everything went well. And a special shout out to Mr. Walter, who is our communications person, who made sure that we had the music in the background for this program. I also held two other Christmas events with our young residents that were, both of them were in Monroe Heights, and it was in conjunction with the 24th Street Foundation and Outstanding Hair Studio, which is run by Mr. Kelvin Bean. He's also a Riviera Beach firefighter. And there was firefighters there, and there was a lot of toys to give out to those kids. So much so that we had two events to give them all out. So that was a smashing success. And then the other one is that we also had we participated in the senior Christmas party where there were two large fruit and cheese platters that were donated, and also gift cards that were donated that were raffled off. And I'd like to thank the staff at CMEX who was instrumental in making this happen. So thank you to Jara and to Matt for your assistance.
Madam Chair, I apologize. I just thought what she said. She talked about Walter, and it made me remember. We had the most amazing jazz concert at the beach on what day, Walter? Last week, I guess it was last week.
Thursday.
And if you missed it, there's going to be another one every third Thursday or fourth Thursday. They're on the ad. The next one is January 26th. It's going to be another great group. Come out to the beach, enjoy the jazz. It's fabulous. And Walter does a great job as the master of ceremonies. Thank you, Walter. Excellent job. Thank you.
Of course. I don't have anything. I've been locked away I should say that wrong because people take that the wrong way. No. I wasn't feeling well, so I haven't been anywhere. I missed all the events, but I'm glad to be back. So, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All right.